Hey, what's going on? It's our farm with Grow Automate Scale, and in today's video, I'm going to be answering the question, how much should I spend on ads? If you're a expert, a consultant, a coach, a course creator, membership owner, this video is for you, and I'm going to break it down of how you should be looking at spending your investment on ads to get the most return back, okay? So I'm going to use some real numbers, things like that we have, but at the end of the day, this is just projections, okay? We can't control exactly if you're going to have a 2% or a 2.5% conversion rate. And let me talk about this, right? So let's dive right in. So there are some factors that go into whether you're going to be able to actually make a profit when you're running ads, depending on your ad spend and the estimated sales you're going to have. And just to kind of break it down, right? There's these factors can vary depending on the month you're running ads, or if you're doing a one-time launch in, let's say, in January, the next launch is going to be in April or May. The next launch is in September. All of these will have their own individual conversion rate, cost per lead, and things like that. So when you're looking at putting your budget in, you may be getting different type of results. Okay, so let's take a look and break this down. What are some of the factors, right? So first off, your program price. Your program price does play a big factor. And the reason why is because as the lower your cost of your program, there's actually sometimes a lot more of the audience that's ready, willing, and able to buy. So you'll typically see a higher conversion rate. As your cost goes up, that conversion rate can go down. And when that conversion rate goes down, well, that's less people actually signing up. So for example, if you have if you've been running launches before and you have a high ticket program that's, let's say, $5,000, and you get a 1.5 to a 2% conversion rate. Now that 0.5 to from 1.5 to 2%, that actually can be a big number depending on how much leads you have. So let's run through some examples of really how can you actually know how much could you spend. And when you're doing this, you want to put your best foot forward, meaning that you want to be able to get sales. Now, this calculator, like I said, it's not going to be something that's absolutely perfect because, we break it down and kind of show you may get about 2.5 conversions depending on the 2%. So, of course, we can round this up, but it's still going to calculate that way. All right. So just kind of, consider that, you can get two or three people in this example. So if your program price is 750. Okay, it's maybe a one-time offer, a workshop, whatever case is your cost per lead. Now, this is just blank field here. So let's say, like for example, one of our clients right now, her program price is 750. It's not a program, but on the webinar, what she does is she sells an offer for 750, and it's a one-time service that basically gets everyone started. It's like an entry point, and when typically in her field, it's a pretty good price to have an entry point. Okay, her cost per lead right now is actually $4.59. And you can see as soon as I dropped that cost per lead, what happened? You saw a lot more conversions come in, okay? And the reason why that is because now you have more leads, 2% for more leads. Estimated growth is going to be 545. So if we're spending $2,500 on Facebook ads, we're looking to generate about 545 leads. If we have a 2% conversion of those leads, we're adding about 8 people into our program, which is about $6,000 in sales, a return on ad spend of about 2.45, and earnings per lead of $11.25. So really what's happening is that for every dollar she's putting into ads, she's getting a return of about $2.45 back. That's pretty good. That's a slot machine I'd be in all day, every single day. And this is actually the reality of what actually happens on this promotion. So as you're running it now and you want to see, okay, well, what has been the conversion rate? And her conversion rate has been about 2.3 to 2.5%. So let's go say 2.3%. And we can see here that is estimated that, again, out of a $2,500 ad spend, as long as people are showing up and this conversion rate holds true, there's about 12 people that's going to sign up, giving us an estimated sales of a little bit over 9,000, which is a 3.76 return on ad spend. And immediately, right now, if you're positioning your offers and positioning your products so that way they can convert beyond just the initial. So right off the bat, you're making some profits. Now, once they continue and they go monthly or they join membership, whatever the case is, you're going to see these numbers change a lot. Okay, so this is how you're going to gather. These are the numbers you want to have to know how much should you put inside ads. Okay, so if you want to actually scale this up a lot, like, hey, no, we want more than 12 people to join. We want to get closer to like 50 people. Well, if you look at the math on that, you're going to have to 4x this ad spend, taking this to about $10,000 to see 50 people join. That's 10,000. Now, as long as the cost per lead holds true, your cost per lead may vary, especially when you're scaling, right? Facebook, the way Facebook's work, and a lot of times I've talked to some business owners and they don't know this, but the way Facebook work is that you have an audience and that they use the lowest bid strategy, meaning that they're going to try to get you the lowest cost per lead off the bat. Now, if you have an audience, and let's say the audience size is 2.3 to 5 million people, it doesn't mean you're going to reach that much people. And it doesn't mean that that many people in that audience will convert to your offer. 100% of that people of that audience size isn't going to want your offer. You're also going to get a percentage of that. Okay. So what happens is that over time, that audience, the lowest cost per lead, they've captured that. After about 500 to 1,000 leads, guess what? The people that's converting at the lowest, they've gone now. So the cost per lead starts to creep up and creep up and creep up. This is one of the main reasons why I recommend testing different audience. And ultimately, when you have a high performing ad account, this also looks like having 6 to 12 audiences that work, meaning that you get consistent lead generation from them. You can always introduce new offers and new messaging angles and again restart that cost per lead because now new people are seeing different angles and you start now getting back a lower cost per lead. But over time, your cost per lead is going to go up, especially once you scale. So naturally, typically running a promotion like this, we often don't expect that, hey, our cost per lead is going to stay the same as much as we wanted to, and we'll do as much as we can to test different ads. We want to have maybe 10 to 12 ads that are also working so we can maintain a low cost per lead. But this cost per lead may go up another 50% or so. It may be 650 at the very end of the day, and you can also see how that can impact it, right? So knowing that, like, hey, my cost per lead right now is $4.59, but it can also go up to like $6. If that's the case, I need to have about 2,179 people in my audience to convert 50 people on this offer. The other thing you could work on is actually increasing your conversion rate. If you increase your conversion rate and you get this above 2.3 and you get it more to like a 3%, that's going to drastically increase how many buy. So even if your cost per lead does go up to $6.50, what happens is that now because you're converting more of that audience, you're going to actually hit closer to your goal. Okay. So you have to consider these factors when you're thinking about the budget. How many people do I want to get? What's my average cost per lead at the moment? Or if you don't have that number, based off of experience, talk to some other people in your niche if possible, or talk to some advertisers who work within your niche to say, hey, what's about the average cost per lead that I can expect for a challenge, a webinar, a training series, whatever that's going to be for your offer. Okay. And I'll tell you right now, if you're like into health and wellness, if you're not super niche into health and wellness, but you're just like really teaching about, let's say, weight loss or something related to just improving your health or meal planning or something like that, you should very well expect under a $5 cost per lead. Okay. If you go more niche and you're targeting something very, very specific, you may start to see that go up depending on the audience size. Also, depending on what countries am I targeting. Am I only focused on the US or am I also in the US, South America, um, Canada, Europe, Australia, New Zealand? What other placements am I having? Because those are also going to impact your cost per lead. We don't want to overcomplicate this, we're using this for budgeting reasons, saying, hey, am I planning my best foot forward? Meaning that I'm planning a launch and I know that, hey, I'm doing a challenge where I'm going to be offering a $5,000 program. I know my conversion rate is about one, 1.5% generally because of an offer like that. And my cost per lead is going to be about, let's say maybe 650, right? We'll leave it at that, right? And you want to have enough people to, if you're like, I want to just put a $2,000 ad spend, and it's projecting, hey, if $2,000 ad spend, you're going to get about 308 people to your list. As long as your conversion rate of 1.5 holds true, you're looking at about 4 to 5 people that's going to join your offer. Okay. Now, there's other factors if your emails deliver and things. Well, I want to get into that. So, this is like, hey, this is going to be something where you can plan it. You can spend $2,000. You want to see leads coming in, about $6.50, 300 people join, and they're part of your challenge. Now, you're putting your best foot forward, knowing that, hey, I'm planning on doing something that's going to give me back a pretty decent return on my ad spend. It's pretty significant, pretty high return on my ad spend. So you're going with your best foot forward, as long as it plays out pretty good, okay? As long as your conversion rate holds up, as long as, if this goes down to a 0.5% conversion rate, you can see that's, you know, you're going to close about 1 to 1.5. You're going to have one client. And, that's 5,000 bucks. So it's going to give you quite a bit. So it's going to be about 5,000 to 10,000 a sale, depending if you close 1 to 2 clients. Like I said at the beginning, the calculator is to help you, with projections so you can know that, hey, you don't want to go into something where, hey, my cost per lead is $25. I have a $5,000 program and, I have never converted before, right? You can project that it's going to be estimated zero, even if you go ahead and you're like, hey, a 1% conversion rate. You're looking at maybe one person that might join, right? So this is something that you're automatically putting yourself on in a position where you may not get the best result. You may want to look at this again, saying, hey, this cost per lead is super high. At best, I may get one person to actually sign up based off of I'm only going to get 80 people on my email list, and that's not enough. You want to have volume. You want to make sure you can get the messaging and the creatives and the positioning of your offer to get down to closer to like $5 per lead, because that's when you're going to start seeing the big movements. This is where under $10 is where you start seeing big movements, even if your conversion rate is not really, the highest or something like that. Okay. So hope this has helped you to demystify how you're going to be able to, to get conversions for your offer. If you want access to this calculator, you're able to get that. What you need to do is just pop over to Instagram and just shoot me a DM saying calculator, and I'm going to ask you a few questions, and I'll send you a link directly to this calculator so you can be able to plug your numbers in, things like that. And I created this so that way it's not going to overinflate or over deflate numbers. Try to be, it's for projections reasons. We want to be able to see, hey, I'm going to be able to, I have a $5,000 offer. And I want to really get this to six figures. I know I get a 1% conversion rate. My true cost really is about, $12. What do I need to be at in order to maybe get to like a six-figure launch? And that's where you could put in some numbers to see, hey, if you put about, $20,000 in, 1,600 people on your email list, 16 signs up, estimated sales, 83,000, profit 63. You're still not quite there, right? It's in the, if you did this and you're expecting a six-figure launch, off the bat, it's like, hey, my expectations are higher, meaning that I need to focus on my conversion rate in order to hit this number. But even at the 1% conversion rate, you will need to actually increase that a little bit more so that way you could say, hey, okay, you know what? About $30,000 is going to get me to 100K profit in that, about 25 people to join our program. This is extremely realistic, and I see this over and over again with a lot of clients. This is a great return on ad spend, by the way. It shows a ROAS of 4, but when you look at the dollar value, would you rather a 10x ROAS and you made 2,000 bucks, or would you rather a 4x ROAS and you made 100 grand, right? There's a big difference there. So always take ROAS with a little grain of salt, depending. You want to get full context to the actual dollar value, not the return on ad spend. I see a lot of marketers say, "Hey, well, we got a 10x return on ad spend." Well, that's awesome. You spend $1,000 and you make 10,000, or 9,000. And that can happen with a warm audience. Very simple, very quick, very easy. But if someone reaching cold audience for a high ticket offer, this is the numbers you want to start looking at, okay? And from here, honestly, a 1% conversion rate is low for even a $5,000 offer, especially if you're doing a live challenge. this can still be, there's a lot of our clients who are getting 3%, 3.5%, 4% conversions with these high ticket offers, as long as your things are, as long as your the process to nurture the leads are are set up correctly. Okay, so with that being said, if this is helpful to you, it helps to demystify how you can really budget budget your ad spend. Also to look at like what are some of the factors that impact that. Go ahead and plan out your launches a lot better. Plan out your monthly ad spend a lot better, so that way you can actually hit the numbers you want, and also do it with a confidence, knowing that hey, these numbers hold true. The math. It's just one of those processes where if the real life factors come into play where you don't convert or you convert higher, you actually outgrow your projections because you convert a lot higher. If you want to work together and be able to see how this can actually look in your business, let's run some projections together and I'll see what it would look like to work with us. Go ahead and schedule my free 30-minute scale with ads call. On this call, we're going to go through we're going to go through everything that you have and come with a crystal clear blueprint and an actual roadmap so you can actually be able to go forward with a strategy that's going to help you to get the best results in Facebook ads. All right. So go ahead and schedule that call. Go to ourfunnelsane.com/start. And what you'll do is you'll be able to just fill out a quick application, schedule a time to meet with me over Zoom, and we'll go through everything. And I'll be able to help you I'll be able to look at what you have and be able to set projections and be able to give you a clear path forward for you and your business. All right. So I look forward to chatting with you. And until then, we'll catch you on the next video. Have a great one. Bye.